he could, he would try to come on, but he did not believe he would be able to make it.
Okay, so, Tom, I got 2 o'clock.
Yes,
We call the meeting to order, and we'll just, if he comes in, we'll bring him up to date.
yes. And I forgot my flag. If you want to hold on, I can get it.
And I don't have one here either.
I know you're not home. One moment.
Anybody got a flag?
We can imagine.
Janet?
No, I don't. Maybe I do.
Not in my apartment.
Do I have a flag? Let me see. Yeah. What about a Swedish flag?
I have a flag. Here we go.
We have to do the pledge.
Okay, we got a
I
flag.
see one.
Okay.
It's 2 o'clock. I'd like to call this meeting to order of the Brockton Housing Authority. Chairman Timothy J. Sullivan, Vice Chair Ernest Pettiford, Member Janet R. Trask, Treasurer David Texera, Assistant Treasurer Carol Roberts. The Brockton Housing Authority will meet virtually on Thursday, December 10th, 2020 at 2 p.m. Due to social distancing guidelines related to the COVID-19 state of emergency, this meeting will be held remotely, not at the Brockton Housing Authority's offices. The public is invited to view and/or listen to the meeting via phone, computer, laptop, or tablet. To do so, download the Zoom Cloud Meeting app in the App Store or at www.zoom.us. At 2:00 p.m. on December 10, 2020, click on to join the meeting and enter ID number 883-9519-6373 or use the link http://zoom.us/i/883-951-96373. You may also join by calling the conference line at 1-646-558-8656 at 2 p.m. on December 10, 2020, and enter the passcode 883-951-96373, followed by the pound sign. The board chair will instruct participants on the appropriate time and manner for public comment during the meeting. One other statement we got to read from the governor. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and state of emergency, on March 12, 2020, Governor Baker issued an executive order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20, pursuant to the order, public bodies are temporarily relieved from the open meeting law's requirements that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to these bodies' deliberations through adequate and alternative means. We need a roll call to establish a quorum. Tom, I'll just read that off.
Sure.
Chair Timothy Sullivan is here. Vice Chair Ernest Pettiford.
Here.
Member Janet Trask.
Here.
Treasurer David Texera. Absent. Assistant Treasurer Carol Roberts.
Here.
If we could all rise for a pledge of allegiance. We do have a quorum. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
And to the republic.
For which it
to the
stands,
republic for which it stands,
stands
one nation, under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty
liberty
and justice for all.
all.
Item 1, roll call, Mr. Tebow. This is just a regular roll call.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Here.
Commissioner Trask,
Here,
Commissioner Roberts,
Here.
and Mr. Chairman.
Here. Item 2, approval of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 22nd, 2020. Item A in your packets. Mr. Tebow?
Members of the board have had the opportunity to review the minutes. I have found them to be in order, and I would recommend that they be approved as written.
second,
Who first? So move
We
it.
need a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
And a
second,
second. A motion has been made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Commissioner Janet Trask. Motion is to approve the minutes of the special meeting of November 19, 2020, as written. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
yes,
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
and Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Tom, I was gonna have to change that date. I have November 19, 2020, and it should be October 22nd, 2020.
No, it should be November 19th.
19.
It's the bills, but it does say on the agenda, October 22nd. So you approve the bills of November 19th to it.
19.
Okay, all right. Item 3, hearing of visitors. Small statement to be read. Any member of the public is invited to speak before the board. Visitors wishing to be heard will be allowed 3 minutes to speak on each subject. The board will take under advisement and respond at a later date. Total time for hearing of visitors will be limited to 15 minutes. Are there any hearing of visitors?
There are no visitors, Mr. Chairman.
Hearing none. Item 4, correspondence. Mr. Tebow.
There are 2 letters. One is about the Creative Placemaking Award at Kennedy Drive. We were actually notified of this verbally by email, actually, in July. So it took them quite a while to write a letter, 4 months. But this is the grant for $500,000 that will be used to make improvements for the community room and the community areas up in at Kennedy Drive. We actually have a meeting on it on Monday. They've assigned a architect, so that's exciting. And the city has committed $100,000 in CDBG funds for the program. So that's
terrific, terrific.
yeah,
That's
it really
nice.
is. The next one is our regular formula funding, but it's good news, right? Where it's the notification to the Housing Authority that the Housing Authority has been awarded $589,954 for fiscal year 2024. That's an increase from the past based upon the facility condition index that Mr. Barry has worked on. So we're looking forward to getting that money in and spending it as quickly as possible. So that's, again, more good news to the authority. That's $1 million, right? $1 million, almost $1.1 million in 2 letters.
Almost.
Tom, on the first letter with on Kennedy Drive, the $5,000 per apartment, can you really do anything with 5,000 nowadays?
It can't, no, it can't go into the apartments. It has to go into the common areas. So it's specifically for, we'll be making the kitchen bigger. We'll be doing we have an engagement committee. The residents will be involved in it. We have to have an artist involved in it also. Artists can be from any genre, including cooking. So it's a unique program that we'll be working on. And the real tough part is it's all about this engagement committee. And what we envisioned everybody coming together on a regular basis and meeting in the community room and having these creative meetings. And it doesn't look like we'll be able to do that in the next 3 or 4 months at all. So we have to come up with ways to engage our residents without jeopardizing their health.
have an artist in mind?
We don't. We have someone we've spoken to, but I would love to talk to you about that, Commissioner Trask. I know we have Ani Daniels over there and in his group. Anybody out of that we could get involved, so.
Okay. Also, the woman at the Y who does the murals at the Y, who also, I believe, does some of the children's programs for the Housing Authority or helps with them.
Wonderful. If I could, as I said, jump on the phone with you offline.
Okay.
That would be wonderful.
Mhm.
Did that?
Any other questions on the correspondence? Hearing none. Item 5, approval of the bills for the special meeting of November 19, 2020. Item B in your packets.
That should be December 10th. I
Commissioner
apologize.
Roberts?
Oh, yes. We looked over the bills for Tom and everything looks in order. So I make a motion to approve the bills.
Second it.
A motion's been made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford. Motion is to approve the bills for the special meeting of December 10th, 2020 as presented. A roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes,
and Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Motion carries 4-1 abstain. Item 6, approval of fiscal year 2020 state operating budget, revision number 1, Exhibit C in your packets. Mr. Tebow?
If I could ask Mr. Pacious to speak on this, please.
Yes, due to the fact that DHCD gave Brockton Housing Authority CARES Act money, one of the requirements was that we had to do a budget revision in order to get the money. So what you have in front of you is just 4 line items that we adjusted. 2 of those line items affect the CARES Act money that we received, the subsidy line item and the contract cost line item. So if you have any questions on that, I'd be more than happy to answer them.
Where is the CARES Act on here, Michael?
On the memo or on the actual operating budget form, it's listed under line 9 where it says operating subsidy.
mhm.
Oh, yeah.
And we
Yeah.
just added it to that number, to that operating subsidy that had been approved when we had submitted the original budget.
Okay.
Okay.
We need a motion, item 6.
Motion to approve item 6.
Second?
A motion has been made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Commissioner Janet Trask. Motion is to approve revision number 1 to the state operating budget for state aided housing for the Brockton Housing Authority Program 400-1 for fiscal year ending December 31st, 2020, showing total revenue of $2,665,744 and total expenses of $2,674,490, thereby requesting a subsidy of $1,218,744 to be submitted to the Department of Housing and Community Development for its review and approval. A roll call, Mr. Tebow.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Motion carries 4-1. Item 7. Approval of fiscal year 2021 federal and state operating budgets. Exhibit D in your packets. Mr. Tebow?
If I, so I'd like to review all of our budgets using one form. What I'm going to do is share the screen and put it up there for you to look at. You might not be able to see all the other members, but everybody will be able to hear each other. If you have any questions, just simply stop me as we go. So what I'm going to recommend is that we review all the budgets, and then you'll see if we could go through and do, I believe there's 8 or 9 motions to get through all the budgets, if we could do those one after another. So I'm going to share the screen now. And you should be, let's see. No, that's not the one we want to see, is it?
Yeah, I see a spreadsheet.
You're seeing a spreadsheet?
Yeah,
Yes,
Okay.
me too.
Oh, good. That's what you're supposed to be saying. That's not what I'm seeing. I'm seeing Zoom 4.52 is here. So, but as long as you can see a spreadsheet, is my cursor moving around the blue?
yes.
Yes.
Okay, good. So,
Hello?
hello, can you hear me? Who was that? Janet? One second. Did we lose Janet?
Yeah, Janet.
Oh, she might have stepped away for a second. All right, but she's there. All right, so we have, there are 11 different budgets that we're looking at. You can see them numbered across the top. Up at the top is all the income that we get from different programs. So the Central Office Cost Center, the COCC, it gets its funds from HUD management fees, grants, and state and local management fees. AMP1 is family housing, Hill Street, Crescent Court, Roosevelt Heights. AMP2 is all the elderly high rises in Earl Street. Section 8 is the voucher, and then we have a regional program where we run it for, across the state. The state program 400C is Kennedy Drive and all the state different public housings. 689-1 is the Edwina Martin House. 689-2 is the Tony DeVega House. We also have a rental voucher program through the state that's called MRVP. Local economic development, it's a small account that we have that throws off a little income. And then local affordable housing, that is the property that we own that's scattered throughout the city. And so it goes through and it shows you where their income comes from. Obviously, local affordable housing, it's all from rents. Number of programs receive administrative fees. That's the Section 8 program and the voucher programs. Others, there's interest there, subsidies that we get from the different programs, subsidy from HUD and from DHCD. So there's the income. That's where we have all the income for these programs. The expenses are broken down into a number of different categories. There's non-utility expenditures and administration. That's very important for DHCD. Whenever they talk about making cuts or giving increases, it's all about this line item here. When you get down to their utilities, they pay for that dollar for dollar. HUD does it a little different. They do it on a 3-year basis, but we have admin salaries, legal expenses, member compensation, travel related expenses, audit fees, administrative other, that's sundry of costs for telephones and all that kind of stuff. We have the tenant organization, that's money that goes out to some of the tenant organizations. We also have our service coordinator program under there. When we're looking at budgets, really the HUD and DHCD, they don't care about these individual lines as much as they care about the bottom line. So if you overspend in one line and you underspend in another line, but you still end up at your 1.6 million there, they're fine with that. It's when you start really having variations there that they want to see budget revisions. That's why we just did the budget revision for the state. Maintenance, we have just 3 categories there: labor, supplies, and contract cost. Contract costs are the ones that are always, and materials, they're oftentimes hard to control because you have situations beyond your control, especially in the smaller budgets. The state, we have a lot of heating systems that go down in the winter, and if it costs $12,000 to replace the heating system, that's what you have to do. Even though you might not have had that money there, you still have to spend it, and that would go under, most of the time, contract costs. Protective services, we have that there for our security contract and for our security coordinator. General expenses, we go through insurance, pilot, that's payment in lieu of taxes that we pay to the city. Employee benefits are big, obviously that's a big number right across. Interest and principal payments, that's if we take out loans, we have to pay them back and we have to budget for that. And then HUD management fees, those are fees that have to be paid from one account to another. And then as you can see, we go into utilities. The utilities are, we're doing great on utilities, by the way. We're saving a ton of money on utilities. We got a commissioning report on the new elevators. We're saving $10,000 per year on electricity per elevator. And I believe, Chris, I see you're on mute. There's 14 elevators. Was that the total?
Yes, there's 14 of the federal ones that we've changed out, yes.
So that's that's $140,000 a year we're saving in elevators for the electricity there. So we're doing great there. Collection losses, that's people who don't pay us and we can't collect. We have to budget for that. It's some small things here, non-cap mobility fees we pay out to other housing authorities, some equipment, small equipment. And then down here, capitalized expenditures, that's the stuff you plan for. It's usually, we haven't planned for a lot. I believe there's a truck in this budget, a snow plow. We try to do one truck a year so that we don't have all of them getting bad at once. We don't do the purchase of those type of things until, September, October, in case there are other things that come up that we have to pay for that we didn't anticipate and that money gets eaten up. It's just like at your house, right? You're planning on buying a new car and the roof starts to leak. Well, there goes your new car. You put on the roof.
Are the collection losses increased?
The collection losses are not increased in the budget. We're doing a lot of work, and I'll talk about that under my executive director's report, but we are doing a lot of work to collect money from our residents who, a number of them did just stop paying because they thought they didn't have to. And that's caused an issue. So we're working very closely with them and with the RAFT program to try to get them up to date. The operating reserves, you can see we're doing fairly well in our program. We got a couple $1 million under the COCC, 2.5, 4.5. So our reserves are in good condition. So we're pretty well set for a rainy day, and I think it might start raining, to be quite honest with you. Income tax revenues are down. That will eventually, it's affecting the state this year. It will affect the federal government eventually. Sometime they're going to have to tighten their belt, and that will affect us. Although I do have a little bit of good news. The legislature just passed a budget that significantly increased the subsidy line item for state public housing. It went to $80 million from $72 million to 80. Mass Narrow had asked for 676, so it's above what was asked for. And that goes to your question, Commissioner Trask. There is an anticipation that our families are going to be earning less, therefore paying less in rent and needing more subsidy. Then there's also the costs that are going along to keep the residents as safe as possible. So if they're anticipating that, I have to give the legislature a lot of credit for that. Hopefully the governor will sign it. He does have line item veto power, so he could change that number. We'll see what happens there. As I said, so the programs are doing fairly well. We do have a couple of deficits that we have budgeted for, but as I told you, and this is our philosophy, it's very conservative philosophy. We say, this is what we need to spend to keep the places up to code, to fix everything when it needs to be fixed, and to anticipate things breaking. And then we put in the income. They tell us what the income's going to be, what the subsidy levels are going to be. And then sometimes it comes out to a deficit. And we work from there to make sure that we don't go into deficit. If we do go into deficit, that would be something that I would discuss with the board when we do our monthly comparatives. And that would be a decision. Do we want to spend this money at this time out of our rainy day fund, let's call it, the reserves? And that does happen from time to time. For those of you who are on the board back in 2007 and 2008, we spent about $1.5 million of our rainy day funds then. That was when we had the real estate collapse, if you remember, just as President Obama was coming in, and the stock market crashed, all that stuff happened. So our income went way down from subsidy, and so we had to spend a little bit of that money. So this year looks like it's going to be pretty good. So maybe 2022 will be a little tougher. I am expecting some things to come up. They have done rescissions in the past. That's where we'd have to come back to you again and say, remember we told you that they were going to give us $2 million for this program. They have now rescinded that. It's now only going to be 1.5. That has happened in the past. It's unusual, and I haven't heard anything about that now. But that would be something we would keep you up to date on. In the budget, there is a 2% raise for the employees across the board. Now, on my salary, that there's a 2% increase there also. You'll see on the budget motions that you have to read my salary. That's the Somerville thing, remember? Mike, he lied about his salary. So now they make in the budget form, when the budgets are passed, they make sure that it's read in public. That's why it's there. And I think Commissioner Sullivan, you commented on it last time that everybody in the world knows now because we've read it so many times. DHCD has a salary schedule for me. It's set at $198,000. Michael, is that correct? 198.
Yes. Yes, that's correct. Yeah.
So I'm $26,000 below that. So that should be, well, I know it's not an issue with DHCD, but I did just want to make sure that was clear. And I think that's, in summary, that's my presentation on the board on the budget. I'd be glad to answer any questions. I'm going to stop sharing the screen so we can see each other now.
Okay.
Tom, I had one question on the
Please.
legal. It was item 4130.
Yes. Yes, so legal is for our, go on.
I know there's no evictions right now, but I was just wondering what the legal is right now.
We're working with our lawyers actually more now than we ever have because there are no evictions. We have to be very, well, there are now, by the way, you can evict. We are doing everything we can to avoid evictions. And so we started a program back in May where we were contacting our residents every month who are behind. And we have to write the letter a certain way so that it doesn't threaten eviction. We're also working with our lawyers with the courts. That's how, so if you're familiar with the RAFT program, RAFT stands for Rental Assistance for Transition.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a huge program right now for all the people who are behind on their rents. And it's a bridge. It's not permanent rental assistance. And there's two ways to get it. Well, there's one way to get it. You go through NeighborWorks. It's got a different name. It's Neighbor Solutions now, NeighborWorks Housing Solutions. They're administering the program out of Kingston. But you can go a back way through the courts. So what we're trying to do is work through the courts, through the tenant preservation program, to access RAFT, Rental Assistance for Transition, for our residents. And we use our attorneys for that. So we are working very closely. In fact, I've talked to our attorney, Caitlin Malone, more in the last 8 months than I have in the last 10 years. So actually the costs have gone up, cost of collection going up. We have about $200,000 owed to us. Some people, we've been contacting them on a regular basis. Some people just are not responding to us whatsoever. And our letters say, please contact us. We may have resources. We'll be very generous in any repayment agreement. So we're doing everything we can. But, you know, we're working with our service coordinators, our asset managers to try to get people to understand that, you know, eventually this will come to roost. Please work with us now where it's a fairly a good place to work. But we are, the legal fees are, we're actually a little over this year than we were last year, Commissioner Sullivan.
Tom, did I hear you right? The eviction's back on now?
There is October 17th, it ended in Massachusetts.
Yeah.
There is a moratorium, a federal moratorium that ends like next week. But that federal moratorium doesn't apply to our residents. You have to show a bunch of things that don't apply to our residents because they receive subsidies. But we have not been to court on any evictions. We don't plan on going to court anytime soon. I shouldn't say that. We are doing some mediations because of some health and safety when a person, you know, is threatening their neighbor, stuff like that. We are in court doing mediations on those type of things. But we're not looking to evict right now over rents. But it's a real issue. It's across the state. We had a statewide call yesterday and spoke about different strategies to collect rents. Because the state is saying, and HUD is saying too, you can't give this money away. You just can't say to the residents don't pay. But you can be more creative in ways that you can find to work with your residents. So that's what we're doing.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. It's going.
Any other questions on the budget?
Can I want to add one thing to that, Commissioner Sullivan, because you brought it up. I expect there to be a huge issue with people being thrown out of private housing in the next 6 months or so. And that will obviously, they'll be coming to us, and it will be it's something we're going to have to deal with as a society.
In
Tom,
item
can I
7.
can I just ask, are you having any greater issues of domestic violence and that sort of thing?
I don't know about domestic violence. I haven't heard that, but that really is hidden. Most people, it's more difficult to get to. Substance abuse, absolutely. It's a huge issue. We're finding, yes. But that's usually related to domestic violence. They often go together. But we're seeing a lot of, we spoke about that in our conference calls this morning, what we're seeing with our residents. We're also seeing a lot of homeless people coming to our buildings, you know, living with people and then sleeping in our hallways, sleeping in our penthouse at Campello. That was an issue recently. You know, it's very difficult out there.
Thank you.
On these items, in item 7, there's 9 items in item 7 that gotta be motioned. I just labeled them A, B, C, D, all the way to I. So we know where we are. So each one has gotta be motioned and seconded and voted on separately?
Yes.
Okay. We need a motion, item 7A, which is motion to approve resolution 20-04 from anybody.
You want us to read the whole thing?
No, just, all you have to do, Carol, is say so moved, and I'll read
So
it
move.
after I get the second.
I second it.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Ernest Bedford. Motion is to approve resolution number 20-04, resolution approving fiscal year 2021 federal operating budget project, Mass 024-00114D, asset management project AMP1, showing total revenue of $2,518,600 and total expenses of $4,531,315, thereby requesting a subsidy of $2 million.
Mr. Chairman, if I'm sorry.
Any questions on the motion?
Yes, I just one comment. I'm sorry. I had mine. I was looking at a different motion. On this one, when I spoke to you yesterday, we have three that have different expenses. The expenses have gone to $4,561,068. So a total expenses of $4,561 and $561,068. There was some overtime that needed to come forward on this program.
Is that egg?
Sue, do you want me to read that in there? Or is that,
I've made a note.
Yeah,
In the next
Okay.
one, Mr. Chairman, if I could make a note for the federal public housing AMP2, the expenses now are $11,804,040. 11,804,040.
okay.
And there'll be one more. Why don't we just on the Section 8 program? I'm sorry, the Central Office Cost Center, which I had as the final one.
It's the next to last.
Next to last one, the Central Office Cost Center is $3,397,131. The expenses, total expenses,
Can you give me that again?
$3,397,131. Did you, do you have all those?
okay,
Mr.
we'll go
Chairman?
back to, yes, I do.
Thank you.
I'll go back to item A. The motion was made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford. Motion is to approve Resolution 20-04, resolution approving fiscal year 2021 federal operating budget project, Mass 024-00114D, asset management project, AMP1, showing total revenue of $2,518,600 and total expenses of $4,568,068, requesting a subsidy of $2 million. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Motion carries. 4 yes, 1 absent. We need a motion, item B, on that same page. Resolution 2005,
So moved?
item B I have. Was that you,
Okay.
Janet? Carol?
no, I second. Janet, so moved.
Okay. A motion has been made by Commissioner Janet Trask, seconded by Commissioner Carol Roberts. Motion to approve resolution number 20-05, resolution approving fiscal year 2021 federal operating budget, Mass 024-002-14-D, asset management project, AMP2, showing total revenue of $5,291,580 and total expenses of $11,804,040, thereby requesting a subsidy of $6,700,000. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes,
and Commissioner Sullivan.
Yes. Motion carries. 4, 1 missing. Item C, the first item on the next page. Resolution 2006. We need a motion from somebody.
I so move that motion for approval of resolution 20-06.
And a second?
Second,
A motion's been made by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford, seconded by Commissioner Janet Trask. Motion is to approve resolution number 20-06. Resolution approving fiscal year 2021 operating budget, Section 8 Housing Choice Voucher Program. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
yes,
Commissioner Trask,
yes,
Commissioner Roberts,
yes,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Motion carries 4, 1 missing. Item D on the same page. The program is 400-1. We need a motion.
so move,
second,
A motion has been made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Commissioner Janet Trask. Motion is that the operating budget for state aided housing, for the Brockton Housing Authority Program number 400-1 for fiscal year ending 12/31/2021, showing total revenue of $2,389,523 and total expenses of $2,445,646, thereby requesting a subsidy of $984,031, and further that the executive director's total annual salary of $175,584 for fiscal year ending 2021 be submitted to Department of Housing and Community Development for its review and approval. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
yes,
Commissioner Trask,
yes,
Commissioner Roberts,
yes,
and Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Motion carries 4 with 1 missing. Item E, program 689-1 on the same page. We need a motion from somebody.
so move,
second,
A motion has been made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford. Motion that the operating budget for state aided housing for the Brockton Housing Authority Program 689-1 for fiscal year ending 12/31/2021, executive director's total annual salary of $175,484 be submitted to the Department of Housing and Community Development for its review and approval. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
yes,
Commissioner Trask,
yes,
Commissioner Roberts,
yes,
and Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Motion carries 4 with 1 missing. Item F on the same package, program 689-2.
yep, so
You need a
move,
motion?
second,
second,
A motion has been made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Commissioner Janet Trask. Motion that the operating budget for state aided housing for the Brockton Housing Authority Program 689-2 for fiscal year ending 12/31/2021, showing total revenue of $27,238 and total expenses of $33,238, and further that the executive director's total annual salary of $175,584 even be submitted to the Department of Housing and Community Development for its review and approval. Any questions on the motion? Just one comment, Tom. That's about the 5th time we read your salary off there. We're gonna know it by heart pretty soon.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's again, that one gentleman in Chelsea decided to hide it, his number, actually lie about it, so it's in public, and it is a public number. I don't know if you remember a while back that the enterprise requested our salaries and they were,
Oh, I know. I see it's in the next one too.
oh yeah, one more.
We need a roll call, Mr. Tebow.
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes,
and Commissioner Sullivan.
Yes. Motion carries 4, 1 missing. Item G on the same page.
I don't-
Which is
So
the
moved.
rental voucher program.
Yep. so move.
Second.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Commissioner Janet Trask. Motion that the operating budget for state aid housing for the Brockton Housing Authority, Massachusetts Rental Voucher Program for fiscal year ending 12/31/2021, showing total revenue of $146,700 and total expenses of $195,589, and further that the executive director's total annual salary of $175,584 be submitted to the Department of Housing and Community Development for its review and approval. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes,
and Commissioner Sullivan.
Yes. Motion carries 4, 1 missing. Item H on the same page. For Central Office Cost Center. We need a motion.
So moved.
Second it.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Janet Trask, seconded by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford. Motion is to approve the operating budget for the Central Office Cost Center for the fiscal year ending 12/31/2021, showing total revenue of $3,397,000.31 and total expenses of $3,329,902. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
yes,
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Motion carries 4, 1 missing. Item I, which is the last item in this affordable housing program. We need a motion.
so move.
Second it.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Carol Roberts, seconded by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford. Motion is to approve the operating budget for the affordable housing program for fiscal year ending 12/31/2021, showing total revenue of $850,080 and total expenses of $1,040,573. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none, roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes,
and Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Motion carries 4, 1 missing. Item 8. I am asking for a motion to table item 8 for the immediate future. By anybody?
Roberts?
Ernie, it has to be tabled. A motion has to be made and seconded to table it.
Which one is
Motion
this
made.
on?
Oh, okay.
On 8? What time item are we
On
on?
item 8.
Okay,
Ernie, I didn't get that.
I understand. I think Carol says she's gonna make a motion to,
No,
Table
I
it?
didn't say anything. I was. Chairperson, did you want to table this, you said?
Yes, to a later date.
So,
Okay.
so moved is okay for that?
Yes,
Okay,
in a
so,
second.
yeah. Okay,
A motion has been made by Commissioner Janet Trask, seconded by Commissioner Carol Roberts, to table item 8, return of property to the city of Brockton, Plot 9, Newbury Street, Exhibit E in your packets. Any questions on the motion? Roll call to table, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
yes,
Commissioner Trask,
Yes,
Commissioner Roberts,
yes,
and Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Motion 8 is tabled for a later date. Item 9, appointment of landlord participant facilitator, rental assistance department, Exhibit F in your packets. Mr. Tebow?
Mr. Plouffe passes along his apologies. He's actually on his way to his son's graduation. He's in the Marines, and after he graduated from the Naval Academy, the ceremony will be tomorrow. So he's on his way down to Virginia right now. This position is a position that we've had at the Housing Authority before. It was formerly held by Joan Newmeister, or a very similar position, probably 25 years ago. And the idea behind it is that we have people waiting on our waiting list for over 10 years. And once they come up to the top of the Section 8 list, they get a voucher, and many of them are not able to use that voucher. They can't find places. So last year we asked and the board approved this position. We advertised it in-house. We had 5 people apply, 5 very capable people. They were interviewed by Mr. Plouffe and Chris Lane Bonney, who's on the call. Chris, if you could unmute yourself and show us your face, and same with Bruna Campbell. And so they went through the interviews. Now, Bruna Campbell is currently the person running the affordable housing program. She applied for the position. She is a fabulous employee. I work with her on a regular basis. I've always been very impressed with her since she was a young lady who came over from the school department on a summer program. And she has grown into every position that she's had. They were interviewed again by Tom Plouffe and Ms. Bonney. So Ms. Bonney, if you'd like to say anything, I'd appreciate that.
So the only thing I would say that I am so proud to have Bruna coming back to us again. Bruna is an excellent worker, and she's gonna be a part of my team again. So I'm so happy to have Bruna at 1090.
So you
I know Tom
probably,
Pro's not gonna be too happy about that. That's one thing I do know. He's not too happy about giving Bruna back. He make it well known, saying. So Bruna, I'm happy that you're coming back.
I'm excited.
Bruna has every position she's assumed, she's taken it and made it better. It's a big job. It is really working with the people who own the properties and with our residents, who are often hard to lease up. You know, they don't know how to work, when they present themselves to landlords and do that. So We're excited about this. I think it's very, very important for the mission of the authority. It doesn't do anybody any good to have someone wait on the list for 10 years and then just have it end up with nothing. And so when Bruna and I spoke earlier this week, I told her that's what she'll be judged by, you know, that how many people are leasing up when we give them the vouchers, and, you know, are we making improvements? And she'll be creative in doing it, I'm sure.
And you got a master's degree.
I do, yes.
Congratulations,
Thank
last
you.
year. Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Very
Good for
good.
you. Good for you.
Thank you.
We need a motion, item 9.
So moved.
Second,
A motion has been made by Commissioner Janet Trask, seconded by Commissioner Carol Roberts. Motion is to appoint Bruna Campbell to the position of landlord participant facilitator effective December 14, 2020, at the step 1 rate of $53,083 per annum. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
yes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Motion carries 4-1.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Bruna.
Good.
Welcome
you.
aboard.
Congratulations, Bruna.
Thank you.
You'll be seeing Bruna. I have high hopes for Bruna working within the Housing Authority if we can keep her. She's a wonderful worker and a great.
Mhm.
Yes.
I don't plan on going anywhere.
Yeah.
Brockton Housing
Good,
Authority
good.
family.
That means no
Keep her
more.
happy.
Bruna,
Yes.
I get to say this to all employees when they first come. I know you've been here for a while. But as long as you keep our residents number one, keep in mind that they may be feeling bad and have a bad day.
Right.
But if we don't have them, we don't need you or me.
Exactly.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you. Thank you very much, everyone.
Normally, we would shake your hand,
Yeah, we
but
have
it's
to.
a little rough through the computer.
Do this.
Congratulations, Bruna.
Thank you.
Bruna, you're welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. There's only one more item left. You can stay if you like. Because Tom Plouffe usually rushes everybody right out. Item 10. Executive Director's Report, Exhibit G in your packets. Mr. Tebow?
So as everybody knows, the COVID is skyrocketing.
Mhm.
It is extremely concerning. I get reports on a daily basis on the number of positive cases we have at the authority, not who they are or where they live, but by development. Right now, we have 42 positive cases.
Wow.
We are rolling back a bit. As you know, the governors said that the offices should be at 40%. We're doing that. I have to really commend the admissions department. So during this pandemic, they have, well, first off, I'll go the people preparing the units for leasing, the vacancy preparation crew, they're churning the units out. It's unbelievable how much they brought that down. And then Tramita Rose and her group have really come together to have people, offer people apartments and get them leased up so they have some place to live during this place. I think it was a couple months ago, I told you we had 16 vacants. Vinny told me this morning that he had 14. 4 of them are waiting for appliances. We can't get appliances. In fact, Susan had chimed in and said she ordered one in October and she was told that she was 9th on the list. So it might be some time. Vinny said this morning after we received some that February might be the next order. So we'll continue to look at that, but obviously we can't rent apartments without stoves and refrigerators. This is an issue that is happening all over the country. So that's where we are on that. Rental assistance is again churning out the vouchers and, during a pandemic, getting people leased up. So that's very good also. We have 12 new vouchers, HVP vouchers on the street and 10 mainstream. We have a program of about 50 vouchers for families where the head of household is disabled and they're formerly homeless or homeless now. We're working with Father Bill's, Mainspring, and BAMSI on that. The organizational review is continuing. They're coming to the end of their interviews with the staff. Once they get all that data, they will then come back, ask some more questions, and then at one time or another, they're going to want to speak to the board members. Rent collections, that's where we were speaking earlier. We are working very closely with the courts and with our residents and our attorneys to try to do whatever we can to get people up to date on their rent and avoid evictions. I did issue a directive that no eviction is to take place without my final signature on it, which normally it doesn't have to happen. If a person doesn't pay their rent, they go through a process, a 14-day process, and it's all taken care of at the court. FEMA, when I wrote this, I was very concerned that they weren't going to give us anything. They kept asking for some real particular information. For example, if you bought masks, where did they use the mask? And if they went into the building, did the person in the building, who was the person in the building who was positive? How did you know someone was positive? So they really were getting down to that. Michael put together a response, and the response came back from MEMA, Massachusetts Emergency Management Association, that it was perfect. It's a template that they'll be using around the country. So I have to give Michael a lot of credit. I don't know if they'll give us any money, but they were very happy with the way we put it together, and it's a tremendous amount of work to be done there. The repositioning of the housing authority we're working down in Campello. We will be putting up some easels in the lobbies down there that talk about this program, repositioning. That's where we will dispose of the property to ourselves, attach Section 8 to it. So we're working through the application now, and we are engaging the residents. We have newsletters in multiple languages that are going out to the residents. Actually, Melissa O'Malley has them now. I have the easel boards at my desk. I'll drop them off at her office before the end of the day. The thing that's stopping us right now from putting the easels up is we ordered easels, and everything you order now is on delay. It's on back order. So we need 6 easels. That will go into the lobbies, 3 in one building. And the reason it's 3, we have them in Cape Verdean Creole, Haitian Creole, and English. So we have them in multiple languages. But that's we're moving on with that, and hopefully we're successful there, because that building really needs a lot of work, and the housing authority could use the infusion of the capital to address the issues down there. And then Chris's department has been extremely busy trying to move programs along slowly because of the COVID considerations. We're ready with the bid docs for the balconies at Kennedy Drive and Rainbow Terrace. They'll be ready for advertisement in mid-December. As I said, the architect has been assigned creative spaces at Kennedy Drive. They're preparing an architect has been assigned to do the windows replacement at the Anwood Congregate House. Chris also just informed me this morning that they are ready to award the new boilers at the Anwood House, and they came in low enough that we can exercise one of the alternatives, so that's good. The boilers are being replaced at Crescent Court. We're moving along in that. The fire alarm system at Bel Air Heights, Earl Street, is moving along. There is one resident who will not let us into their apartment. Normally, if that would happen, we would go to the court for a restraining order, and the person would be asked to leave while we do the work. During COVID, we have not done that. So Chris has found a creative way to work around that, which is not easy because it's one system, right? And this is one apartment, well, actually 2 apartments, or in fact, 2 apartments. So he's figured our way around that for the time being. And as Carol knows, they're still doing the water infiltration job at Caffrey Towers. That will be stopping very shortly. The materials that they use are sensitive to the cold, and as you know, this week it's been cold, and we don't want them to put the stuff on and then have it not perform the way it's supposed to. So there's lots happening during a pandemic, and every day I'm getting calls, and I don't know if you're receiving them, about people who we work with who have been in close contact with people who are positive. So it's getting closer and closer. The city of Brockton has over 6,000 active cases right now. So you know people who have COVID. You know people who have COVID, that you can't be in the city. You can't be in this society. I shouldn't say it's just not Brockton.
The world, I think.
Right.
In the world.
So you do know people, and everybody has their bubble, and we're trying to keep safe within that bubble. But every once in a while that bubble bursts. And so what happens is the staff members, if they're in that situation, they were asked to quarantine. They can work from home if they can, and they have to get a test. And if the test comes back negative, that's fine. They can return to work, but that's happening more and more often as we move ahead. So what we're doing with that is we're making sure that the offices are streamlined, that everybody isn't in the office. So Chris has 3 people in his office. I've asked him to have only one person in the office at a time. So if he were to be positive, the other 2 people could say, well, no, I wasn't near Chris. And Chris would have to stay home, and the other 2 would come in, Camille and Nancy. And we're doing the same thing in the maintenance department. We're trying to do the same thing down at 1090 Main Street, which is obviously 20 people down there about. And it's difficult, but we're pushing it. People can do work from home, but they're not as efficient, right? We have everything we need right here. They have computers at home. They don't have scanners like they would have here. So it does take some planning to get it done. But we've gotten through this. We're actually, I'd say, speaking to other executive directors, we're ahead of most in what we're doing. And but again, the safety of the residents and safety of the employees is my number one concern right now. So get everything we can done without jeopardizing ourselves. That's
with the maintenance people, I should think that they would be most at risk because they have to go into apartments on a pretty regular basis, correct?
Correct. So we're considering right now, we started doing all calls. Remember back in March, April, May, we were doing only emergency calls. I believe it was in June or maybe the beginning of July, we started doing all calls. If my reports keep escalating the way they are, I will instruct the maintenance department to go back to emergency calls only. We will do a 1 call to all of our residents to notify them of that. But we've had quite a few days where the jumps have been over 10%.
Wow.
So, it's small numbers. So if we had 30 one day and we had 4 more the next day, that's over 10%. Then 5 the next day, but 7, the last jump was from Wednesday to Thursday, increased by 7. Went from 35 to 42. So we're seeing that the family developments, which weren't, we didn't have very many in the original things, the family developments are getting a lot now.
Are there any issues with kids because they can't go to school in the housing, the family housing? I mean,
I had a meeting with the asset managers this morning. I do every Thursday morning. They haven't mentioned that as a particular item. It's more substance abuse and mental health issues. So Fred has initiated another round of, let's have all the service coordinators call 40 people a day and just say, hello, I just want to check in on you. Is there anything you need? Stuff like that. Yeah, food. But people are really starting, you see the anxiety and you see the fatigue starting to set in. We did have a person pull the hair of a guard when he asked to put the mask on.
Wow.
So
wow.
it's but you're hearing again that we're no different than the rest of societies, right? You see these things happening, and we're the light's at the end of the tunnel. I keep looking for that, but we have to make sure we're safe until that light is shining bright.
Yeah. But you hear of some so many kids that are just kind of lost to anything of educational value. They're just not going to school, and their parents aren't able to access the computers the way they need to. And
We've had some good reports on that. I know Crescent Court's been doing great. Our three larger family developments have been doing pretty good on that. And I know with the school department, because my daughter and my wife work there, they, there were some kids lost at the beginning. I'm sure the chairman knows, being on the school committee.
yeah,
But they've done a pretty good job at tracking some down. Some they haven't, but some went back. Some, if they were from other countries, went back. They went home.
really?
Didn't notify anybody. They just went home.
Oh, wow, wow. Golly.
That's not true in our places. They have a nice apartment with a subsidy. So, and we're working with the Y to do after-school programs where we're actually setting up COVID-safe places where they can work with tutors, so the kids have computers that they can get on. And
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And also, on a higher note, thank you for our treats that we got for Christmas, and our goodie bags. Very much appreciated, I'm sure, by everybody.
Yes, I went to chocolate heaven.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, did you get yours yet?
Yes, I did. Thank you,
Okay,
Tom.
I just want to make sure it made it down to Florida. Normally, as you know, we have a Christmas party this time of year, and I think that's a very important part of what we do. We all get together. We see each other who, the maintenance people might not see the people at 1090 Main Street, or the administrators and different offices. So it's a nice time to get together, and that hasn't happened. And I think that has long-term negative effects if it were to go on and on and on. So we have to make efforts to make these connections whatever way we can. I think the strength of the Housing Authority for years has been we've worked together as a team, so that when it really gets stressful, that's important. And there's a lot of stress right now, so we have to do as much as we can to keep together as a team.
I thank you for the chocolate because it helps.
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Okay, I just opened the box and said, I'm happy.
Oh,
And I showed it to my doctor. Yeah, they actually had a virtual physical, and she says, how's your weight doing? I said, I don't know, after maybe a couple of days. And I showed her the boxes, and she said, what's in that? And I opened them up. I said, chocolate, 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 chocolate. And I'm going to eat every bit of it. She just shook her head. I said,
she gave her approval to eat it?
Well, she said, enjoy. She said, have a little bit. I said, no, I'm going to eat the whole thing when I start. That's it.
So you look like you've lost a lot of weight, so I think you're doing very well.
Yeah, I'm trying, but I'm going to kill that chocolate. I guarantee you.
We can't do much for Christmas, but
Tom,
at
I
least
had
we
a
can eat the
question.
chocolate.
That's it.
Sorry, Tim.
Tom, I had a question on the Campbell High Rise A and B repositioning. I know we talked about it in the past, but the board doesn't have to vote on anything on that? They could just, what is there, 400 units down there? That are going to be switched over to Section 8?
No, the board will absolutely have to vote on it. So I will send out to you via email after this meeting, the newsletters that will be going out there next week. And on the newsletter, it has a little timeline, but an application is being prepared, and the board members certainly will, without the board members' approval, this application doesn't go anywhere. So it's, that's why, I mean, for the last, I think 8 or 9 months, I've been talking.
No, it's almost like it's automatic now.
No, again,
Oh, I
anytime,
know you've been talking about it, Tom, but we haven't voted on anything yet.
right.
So this is the Cambridge model thing that we're
Yes, yep.
talking about? Okay.
So things will be coming up to us later,
Yes, absolutely.
okay? Any questions on the executive director's report? We need a motion to approve and put on file
Motion to approve?
in a second.
Second.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford, seconded by Commissioner Carol Roberts. Motion is to approve the executive director's report and put on file. Any questions on the motion? Hearing none. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
and Commissioner Sullivan.
Yes. Item 11, old business. Any old business? Hearing none. Item 12, new business. Any new business? Hearing none. We need a motion, item 13, from anybody.
What's that?
Motion to adjourn?
Second?
Yes.
A motion has been made by Commissioner Janet Trask, seconded by Commissioner Ernest Pettiford to adjourn the meeting. Roll call, Mr. Tebow?
Commissioner Pettiford,
Yes.
Commissioner Trask,
Yes.
Commissioner Roberts,
Yes.
and Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
What would you do if we said no?
Meeting's adjourned.
Merry Christmas, happy holidays, everybody.
Merry
Despite,
Christmas.
despite the
Thank you.
difficulties. Stay well.
Stay well.
You too. You
Thank
too.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
You
you very
too,
much.
Janet. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye-bye.
Bye.